Yo, what's good gamers? My name is Dr. Ryan Terrell, PsychSensei here, and thank you for loading this episode of QueueUP. Before we get started, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe so I can continue to vibe to bring you these insightful conversations. And hey, comment below who you'd like to see next. And whether you're a player, a coach, a student, and you would like that sweet rainy blue buff, please head over to my website, PsychSensei.com. There, you can boost your mental mana bar by signing up for a free consultation where you can sit down with your sensei one-on-one, gain some insight, and start developing your win con today. And remember, friends, stronger mental wins. In this episode of QueueUP, I sit down with the powerful JinxeeKatt. With 2 E's and double T's, she is a Heroes of the Storm, caster, player, and content creator while being a part-time Pokemon breeder. In this hilarious and insightful conversation, we tangent our way through her experience of becoming a confident caster. She breaks down some experiences of being a streamer, and she details how she rocks life as hard as her hair. Are you stoked to queue up? I know I am. Let's get it. Yo, what's good gamers? My name is Dr. Ryan Terrell, PsychSensei here. Welcome to QueueUP, where I'm sitting in the queue with hot content creator extraordinaire, cat lover herself, JinxeeKatt. JinxeeKatt, what's good? Thanks so much for coming on. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here, and I am doing great. How are you doing this fine Friday morning?
I'm doing so much better now that we've talked about haboobs, we've talked about cats, we've got some nice highlights from HoTS. Guys, we were vibing really hard before you guys were all here. I'm just excited to be here. So let's just start off, Jinxee. Like, how did you become the JinxeeKatt? Like, how did this all start? Like, streaming, HoTS, all of it. I know that's a big question, but let's just go for the hardballs, man.
All right, absolutely, right out the gate. So JinxeeKatt comes from my cat. His name was Teddy, but anytime I had a big game, because I've been in the competitive scene for a while now, anytime there's a game of any importance on, whether it was like your promotion game from gold to plat or whatever, to a tournament game, he was there, and he always just did something devastating. Once we were playing right after Brax's Holdout was released, and it was a new map, and we were trying it out on stream. We were all checking it out, and I guess he wanted attention. He was being a little turd, and he chewed the cord of my mouse. From the time it took me to get from the bottom lane to the top lane on Brax's Holdout, so I had to go and like find a new mouse, and I managed to pull one out. So he was always just a little Jinx. He was, and everyone's like, "Oh, the JinxeeKatt is here," and that's kind of where it started.
And you were just enjoying the game, like, huh? Brax's Holdout's really cool. Wait, why can't I move?
I remember I was playing Brightwing and I was clicking and I was like, come on, like, let's wait, hold on, like, can we pause? And we ended up losing the game, but you know, whatever. As I was like trying to find batteries for like my college wireless mouse, just like, please live, don't die.
This small little thing that you're like, oh my god, I've never used this in so long, but now I have to use it.
Yeah, the mouse is like the size of like my palm, and I have like a little dainty lady finger, so I'm like playing with like 2 fingers, like trying to.
Wait, where did he eat the cord? Was it close to the tip or like the middle or the end? Like,
there was the computer and it was plugged in, and it was like behind the computer, and so he'd gotten behind the computer and he was always there, and I didn't mind just spray the cat hair out.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I went to go see if it was like plugged in, if he had unplugged it, and no, he just eaten it clean through. I was like, what a little shit. He was a good cat, though. I liked him.
Yeah, JinxeeKatt sounds a lot better than TeddyKatt. That would have been, yeah. So he was your little Jinx that just messed up all the games and wanted to be a part of everything, and that's where the name came from. That's so funny. But is he still around?
No, he, yeah, no.
Oh, rest in peace, man.
Yes, there was somebody hit him with a bike. I feel like I should just come out and say it. It makes it sound like something unfortunate happened. It did, and I know that the sad subject just started on, but he was a good boy. He was my best friend for
like a manual bicycle.
Yeah.
What?
I used to live in a really terrible neighborhood, and
my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Piece of crap. Just thought it would be fun to hit the cat.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try to shift that into, like, how did you get into streaming with the cat ears and building this whole brand and community?
Yeah, so my boyfriend at the time had introduced me to the game. He was a big League of Legends player, and I was never, 100 on it. But I used to play World of Warcraft back in the day, and he's like, oh, well, there are a lot of really cool people in here. Like, Uther's in here, and Jaina, and Arthas. And if you know me, I'm a big Arthas fan. I'm like, Arthas? Like, I know that name. And I was a beautiful lady as an Arthas main forever. I main Tyrande and Sylvanas, and Jaina and Nova and Brightwing and Arthas. Like, those were half the hero pool back in the day. That was all I played.
Only half the heroes. Only half the heroes.
Yeah, only. Well, I was like, Stitches is ugly, and I have to look at him for the whole game, so I'm not gonna play Stitches. So we were playing, and because he was a League of Legends player, and I was new to the game. He was always better at me from the start, and he liked to make it clear. And I love playing Tyrande. I was not good. I was not a good Tyrande, and he was like, "Yeah, babe, I think you should stop with the Tyrande." And he says, "You're never going to be a good Tyrande." And I was like, hold on now, like.
And I like how you started the story off with my boyfriend at the time, which makes me think that this boyfriend is no longer in your life, which is good, which is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
But he was a streamer also, and I didn't have the internet or the equipment at the time to set up stream. It used to just chap us behind that sometimes because he worked evenings. When he was asleep, I would hop on and I would stream. He would get like one viewer, but I would get so like I was a pretty big deal.
No big.
My 4 viewers and people would come. Sometimes they'd say things. They never say things to his. But the big way we got into it, we ended up running into these 2 guys like 3 or 4 games in a row, either with them or against them, and we were just talking smack to each other and being silly. Jiving, and after like the 3rd or 4th game, they were like, well, we're winning more with you than against you. Do you want to party up? We're playing. And they were like, oh, we know this guy who was really into social media and really liked the game, and he was really cool. And so our first community together started out as just 5 friends who wanted to get together all over the country and match skins and play games, and that became Nexus Raiders, what we ended up calling ourselves, because we started adding friends. Anybody that we found in like a quick match or like a storm game that we thought were really nice people, we were like, hey, if you have Facebook and you're interested in playing and hanging out, we have this heroes community, and we'd really like you to become a part of it. It ended up becoming 200 members strong. And we had our own little podcast where we talked about patch notes and BlizzCon and that kind of stuff and hero balances and whatnot. Then from there we got involved with NGS, and I'd finally moved to a place where I could get more than like 1 megabyte of internet. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's give this streaming thing a try. Earlier on, before I was able to stream, I was still really interested in NGS, and I was interested in casting the game, but I always had to be a co-caster with someone else who could stream, which was super unfortunate. I ended up getting in with NGS, and their head caster at the time was a guy named Professor Bobo, who was just an absolute... Yeah, he was really nice. Him and a gentleman made Crow, who actually made the JinxeeKatt, the logo. So, yeah. So if you ever need logo work done, ask me for Crow's information, because he's really sweet. He's super nice, very good at what he does, and his prices were so reasonable. I was like, can I just like give you more? Because I feel like... robbing you.
Like, I'm not gonna say no. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm not. I think that's exactly what he said. Like, I kind of insulted him because I was young and dumb at the time, and I didn't quite understand how to be like, I want to pay my friends for their internet.
Wait, so you were like, you had to be a co-streamer because you couldn't stream, or you couldn't watch and stream at the same time? Like, how did that work?
I couldn't stream. What was the big thing? When I first started playing, I played on a 2009 Dell laptop. Was the original thing I played. It could run Discord, and it could run Heroes, and it could run Heroes at about 150 ping on the Western server.
That's so great.
Yeah, so I could cast, and that was about it. I could co-cast. So he's the one that really encouraged me, though, to really take up casting. He's like, you're really sweet, and you're really funny, and if people would be willing to, let you on their stream, like, I think you should do it. And then eventually I had had better quality machinery. I had better internet. So I was like, let's do this ourselves. And originally I had only planned to just cast games and have my friends on so we could laugh at our friends who were playing. And I mean, if you watch any of my recent casts, we've kind of gone back to like a more relaxed, chill vibe where we just pick up our friends' games and then like laugh about them and talk crap about like, oh, there's our friend Gibbs and he's feeding. Like, who's surprised here? So I was hanging out with Tetcher at the time and he gave me pointers on how to cast and how to set up stream and everything. That's really where the streaming began. This whole long-winded story was I finally got in a place and I was like, well, let's try it. And part of it has always kind of been also like, I don't think I have anything to prove to anyone, but at the time, every so often I look at my ex's channel with the 0 views and my mind's not great by any means either, but I'm just like, this was your dream and now it's mine. I'm making money doing this.
And he's over there, she took everything. She took my followers. She took my stream.
Right? He's like, titty streamer, LOL. I'm like,
still more followers. Yeah.
Like, I didn't start it out of malice, but every so often, when you have people who are like, oh, you'll never do this, you're not good enough, it's kind of satisfying.
Oh, of course. If you really wanted that relationship to boom faster, y'all should have played League together instead of HoTS. Then it would have just been done. Play bottom lane together. It'd be done in like 3 days. Done. Tops. That's it.
We tried that, and...
And how did it go?
The thing. I had no idea what I was doing. He's like, oh, it's fine. I'll support you. And he was a good support. But then he's like, oh, well, I don't want to support. So I'm going to go do the stuff that I find fun. And then you'll just learn. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that I never really got into League of Legends is because it wasn't fun for me. When he's on a Smurf with the other Smurfs and like me and my baby support, we're both super new to the game trying to figure out how to play. And he's like, could you stop feeding? Because like I'm like 18 and 2. I'm like,
well, I'm 0-18 and we're having a great time. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Numbers. What are we playing? Math now? I don't like that game.
Like, I'm doing my best, man.
Yeah, I'm pushing the buttons.
Me and the soda down here, we're vibing.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
You know, the 80 carries stack the beans, but...
We're having fun. We're having fun. We just wait here. Yeah, we're just good. We're just good. Okay, right. I have to ask, so when you were stepping into this new area of becoming a streamer, caster, all of this, what was that like for you? Was it scary? Was it daunting? Was it exciting? What was that experience like?
It was a little bit of both. I was excited to just start streaming. When I went full time, that was really scary because I officially went full when COVID started. I had a pretty big nest egg, so I was like, I'm okay. We'll do this for a year and then we'll see where it goes. It was fun and it was exciting, and it was exciting to see the outpouring that I got from the community. You know, everyone was sending raids over, everyone was like saying, go support, go hang out. But it's really frightening. There are a lot of things that you don't think about when you become a streamer, and a lot of it is like you have to be your own advocate, you have to be your biggest fan, your biggest promoter. And I think the biggest one that's hard is like if you want to make it as a streamer, the streamer doesn't stop when you turn off the stream, when you're done for the day, when it says see you next time, there's still stuff that you have to do.
Yeah, like what is that like, I guess, to run your own schedule and to be mindful of all the things that you need to do that's extra?
It's really hard, especially like I have ADHD, so having a schedule is nice, but adhering to that schedule is really hard. Like understanding like I need to be up by X time so I can put on a face and get warmed up and be cheerful. I did 1 to 9 every single day was my time. So by 1 o'clock I needed to be on. So that meant anything that had to be done, errands that needed to be run, groceries, spending time with friends and family and dogs. And it was hard too because after I lost my job, I had to move back home, especially during this summer. I had a schedule that I had to stick to, and I hear my family and they're out playing in the pool and splashing and having fun, and I'm in here, and it seems kind of silly to complain like, oh, I'm inside playing video games and getting paid while they're out, but it can be really hard. I want to spend time with my family. I want to be there and have that time, even though I am in here playing games with my friends. It's not quite the
Yeah.
same. I'm at work.
Yeah, it's totally different. I think people don't understand that even though work is fun and you may not be quote working because you're having a good time, it's still taking away from other things that you might want to do, like spend time with your family. Time is definitely a resource, that one of the most valuable resources that we get to spend however we want. But at the same time, like, it's your job. What is it like, I guess, too, like stepping into the space as my first woman on the show, thanks to the representation of being like awesome woman? Like, what is it like for you to be a streamer and be you and play games and be known for that versus all the other stuff?
One of the things I like about Heroes is that we have a very diverse community, and especially since it is basically community run at this point, that there really isn't room for a lot of buttholes in here. It's easier to be toxic to a million people than it is to be to 1,000 people. I've had a good run for the most part. That's not to say there haven't been issues, and I think the biggest one that I can attest to, most women have dealt with, is people don't like to hear us speak and be knowledgeable about the game. And I'm glad that I'm known for my Heroes content and not anything else, because that's pretty much what I do all day, every day. I've dabbled here and there, but Heroes is my main thing. So it's super exciting, and it's really nice to be attached to that. Now, that being said, the first real incident I had where I realized that, because up until then, I was like, we're all the same. Like, I don't understand where all these stigmas are coming from. And it just turned out that I had been really, really fortunate to run into these kinds of people. They were doing a Dota Underlords stream, if you remember that, when that was popular for a minute. So there was a finals going on, and one of my friends was like, hey, I think you should join us with this. You have good insight about the game, and we would really love to have you. And I was like, absolutely, I would love to be a part of it. And as they were introducing me on the stream, Bahamut was like, hey, we have JinxeeKatt with us here today. How are you doing? And I said, thanks so much for having me. It's really great to be here. And the first comment after I spoke was, somebody mute her. And that was all I said. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I had some friends in the chat who told him to go pound sand.
Yeah, what was that like, though, to hear that? Like, just first thing you say, you're all excited to do the stream, and the first thing someone says is mute her. And like, wow, like, what was that like for you?
It was really eye-opening, and it was like, oh, I get it. I see why people are still fighting so hard, and why we still ask, how do we get more women in gaming? Which I personally find an atrocious question, especially when you come on as a woman. Everybody asks you that. Like, it's your burden that you need to be the person to get more ladies prevalent. And I agree there should be, but it also feels kind of bad. I kind of want to turn it around and ask, like, well, what are you doing to get more women interested in gaming? But it was just really, really shocking. The entire time I tried to put on a face that everything was fun and we were having a good time and just focus on the game. But in chat, the biggest thing that I just joke about now is you don't become whoever you are. Like, Tetcher is always Tetcher, and Caldor is always Caldor. But it doesn't matter if you're me, or if you're Jazzaline, or if you're Gillyweed, you're the girl. It's the biggest. Like, I remember in the tournament, I said, let's look at the person who is playing Elementals, because I think the Eidolons are cute. That's my favorite build, and I want to see how they're faring. And immediately, because I had the audacity to say that, I think the Eidolons are cute, they were like, rank from the girl, every hero, every character from cutest to least, and yeah, that kind of stuff. And then we got through it. I was super uncomfortable. We finished the thing, and I was like, all right, have a nice day, guys. And I just turned off for the rest of the night. I didn't speak to really anyone. I didn't want to deal with people. I hung out with my family and like my dog. And then the next day, that was the first time that I'd gotten a threat of violence towards me, that I had the audacity to come on this stream and talk about a game that I loved.
What? That is freaking crazy. So from these instances, or this is just maybe the first one at the tip of the iceberg, like, how do you stay strong in your passions of what you're doing and stay interested and not listen to the haters or the people trying to cut you down just for being you?
So the biggest thing that I think that everyone should know if you're going to get into media is don't read anything about yourself. A lot of people say it, and it can be really hard, especially when people are coming to you and they're like, hey, did you see this Reddit thread about you? I'm like, no, I didn't. Don't show me these kinds of things. Just don't read anything about yourself. Accept criticism, but don't read anything. Someone's like, I felt JinxeeKatt spent too much time on the talent and it really took away from the action of the game. Like, all right, that's something that I can fix, and that's a fair critique. But JinxeeKatt should kill herself is not a fair critique.
I can't fix that. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I kind of like being alive, but thank you for your contribution. But the big thing again is that that's one person out of everybody who was supported and loved and helped and put me over, and really just try to focus on those people. And I've been streaming a little bit less lately, just kind of dealing with life and stuff. And whenever I come back on, people are excited. And they're like, oh, it's so good to see you again. We missed you. How are you? Are you doing all right? That's really what helps me, because for every person who wants to say something hateful, there are 10 people who want to tell me how my stream is more fun to them and how they have something to listen to at work while we're all stuck at home. Or like I had one person, they're like, yeah, I always race home because I live in X part of the world and your stream comes on like right as I get off of work. So I like to come home and check out and see, you know, what you're up to. And that makes me feel good.
Oh, wow. It's like, I'm wondering, like, even with this journey, how long did it take you to get to this, like, process to see maybe the brighter side or just embrace the support, I guess, of your community that you've built around yourself?
I like to think, especially after I went full time, it was rather quick. Just trying to focus on the positives and put the haters behind me. It took a while. There are still times where I'll be scrolling through a thread or something. People are talking about so-and-so cup is coming up and people are like, I hope we see X, Y, and Z cast. And someone will be like, oh, and JinxeeKatt should be there. I'm like, yay, that's me. Somebody wants me. And they're like, no, we don't want her. She sucks. I'm like, like, well, you ain't gotta say that. But it did take a while to just remind myself, because one thing I don't think we think about enough is people can give you 100 compliments in a day. And one person will say one negative thing about you. And that's what a lot of us hold on to is just a lot of people think that they're like, oh, you have the coolest hair in the Nexus. That's what people have said to me. Just, oh, thanks. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I did have some super cool hair. Then there are people who are like, you look like a stupid bird. And I'm like, why are you like this? Like, why did you say that?
We were just having a good time, and now we're here. Thank you.
Right? So you just got to remember, like, for every one of those. So, I mean, I can't really put a timeline on it, but I don't want it from my stream. I'm like, oh, it was so easy to just love myself and love my friends. But that's not always how it is. It takes time.
Something I really like about you and so far your story and the way that you're delivering is just like the realness, man. Like the realness of the story is just so fun to listen to.
Well, thank you. All
right, so let's get back into Heroes, and like, what would you say is like your play style of Heroes of the Storm?
My best.
Clip it.
I've always been a more supportive player, which is really interesting because I've actually swapped from tanking to DPSing now. But no matter what, I've never been good at being the hyper carry and the person who leads the team to victory, who can deal the damage. Now, I can do that also as a secondary DPS, but I've always kind of joked with my friends and stuff that it's never really been my area to shine. And probably one of the reasons that I was started as a support main and then became a tank main and then finally transitioning back to DPS, because I would rather set them up to deliver the finishing blow than do it myself. I like to fight and I like to kill. I've always found like Johanna's Blessed Shield is way more fun to me than say like Vala's Strafe.
Okay, so you say you like tanking, like supportive. You'll like setting other people up to do the damage or lead the team to victory. Would you say that's a quality of you as a person that applies to your life too?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I do God, I feel like very narcissistic saying this kind of stuff, but I've always been a helping and I like to think a caring person. I used to be a dog trainer and I worked at a like kennels and just I like to take care of people and things. If you've ever seen my stream, my doggy is my baby. She's over there on the blankie right now, looking at me, wondering why I'm looking at her. But so yeah, to answer your question, yeah.
I love talking to tanks and supports, especially because I think they think of the game so much differently than maybe a DPS would, or maybe like the melee DPS. They think of the game just so much differently, more macro, more team based. And I'm wondering too, like with Heroes of the Storm, what do you like about this game that made you stick with it for so long?
The biggest thing that I like the team aspect of it, I think is probably the biggest thing. I like that we win together, we lose together. Whenever we have a bad game and one of my friends or one of my teammates is like, oh, that's my fault, I threw the game, we always joke and I always say, I'll give you a solid 20% of the blame, because that's 1/5. That's what I like. The reason I've never been crazy about League of Legends or Overwatch or anything like that, Overwatch a little bit more, is you have to work together. There are so many abilities that couple nicely that the other games just don't have. Like Maya's Warden's Cage, Orphea's, gosh, I cannot remember what it's called.
Circle,
Her
her circle.
feast. Yeah, her feast ability. That pairs well. And just the fact that you do group up more and it's not 25 minutes of getting in lane, buying items, going back, and then in the last 6 minutes of the game, you're like, okay, now we can have some fun. So, and the fact that you get to see each other and that you have to rely on each other, that, and I think it's prettier than a lot of games out there. I'm a very visual person, and so all the different maps and the different ways you have to play, because I feel like I'm bashing on League a lot, despite the fact that I do really like it and I like to watch it and play. But I love the thought process behind heroes and stuff. Whenever you see a League of Legends match, every so often there will be kind of a spicy pick, but it's the same 10 heroes all the time. Like every so often, there's a pool of like 15 heroes and then like 10 that are always banned. You go and you try to win with that, and it just comes down to skill. But I feel like the thought process and the way that you have to anticipate and think and kind of play a chess game is why I really like it. The other thing that I've been doing recently is competitive Pokemon, which was a terrible idea.
Nice.
But I think it's the same thing, thinking about what your opponent has, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, how are you going to cover those, is really why I like Heroes of the Storm.
When you say competitive Pokemon, you mean Pokemon Unite or like cards or like the actual like game?
The game. Like I've been actually slacking on my heroes lately, just to be like, go to my friends. I'm like, can anyone trade me a Litten?
I saw that.
Litten. You there, like I need a female in DD because males don't have the ability that I need, and you can only get them in Sword. So it doesn't matter what it's like. Just give me the female in DD. I'll fix it. I'll make it perfect.
Okay, so not only are you a hot contents creator, you're a competitive Pokemon player, but also you are a Pokemon breeder and phenotyper scientist per se. Yep.
We were just laughing about this the other day. It's what the two aspects of competitive Pokemon are, and it's dogfighting and eugenics. And I'm like, oh, when you put it like that.
I'm down to go down this rabbit hole. Explain the dogfighting and the eugenics. Go on. I'm down.
I mean,
I'm so down.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's dog fighting. You capture the sweet creature out from the wild, and granted, they in the lore and everything, it says that they like to battle and that they faint, they never get hurt, and in the anime and stuff, they're like, oh, like you see, Ash picks up Pikachu, and he's got like the little X's on his face to symbolize like certain stuff, and they're like, you did good, you take a long rest. I'm like, the Pokemon's fine with it.
Get back in the ball.
Yeah, in the manga, it's not like that. Like, they actually die. One of the most iconic panels is, I think, for Alligator, just splitting an Arbok in half. So, it's really horrible. I don't read the manga for that because it's scary. I'm like, this is for children.
Oh, just imagine if they had that on Saturday morning. Oh my god, just Pikachu.
Saturday morning, I'm sitting there eating my Cheerios, and then, just Pikachu's impaled, and you're like,
Oh, we're not evolving. Oh, that's that episode. Got you.
yeah, like, oh, so that's why he transitions to the Clefairy. Like,
You're gonna be fine, Pikachu. You're okay. You're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And eugenics just from the breeding of all the skills that you need.
Yeah, no, I feel bad whenever, because Tetra, he's my boyfriend. He just plays it for fun. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a new run, but I want to start with like Larvitar early because you can't get that until much later in the game. So will you breed me one?" And then there was another Pokemon he wanted, and I was like, "Do you want anything else?" Like, I'm like, "I have some inadequate Dreepy that I can give you." It's like, "Well, why are they inadequate?" I'm like, "Well, this one is modest and he only has a very good defense, while this one is jolly and he has a best defense. So he's better."
I see where this is going. So what do you do with those other ones that are not so significant? Do you just let them...
I do let him go, and that's another running joke that Route 5, where the nursery is, it's just overrun with Dreepy right now. Like, I've caused an invasive species. And they've got 5 perfect IVs, then they can stay, because I can do something with that 6th one. But they've got 4. Like, they are not good enough for me. And then if I ever need anything, or if my friends ever just want one, I'm like, "Oh, here, you can have one of these guys." The more I say it, the more I feel bad, because like, I actually have a box in my game and it's called Trade Trash, and it's just Pokemon that I send out. So I'll wonder trade to see if we can get anything, because anybody else who's interested in getting competitive, like even if it's only got like 3 or 4 like good IVs, like that's a great place to start, and then you can build on it from there. But most of the time I'm like, "All right, go into the world, nearly perfect Dreepy," and then I get back like a basic Slowbro. I'm like, "Well, that was 15 minutes of my life."
So basically, you're flushing all your Drapies down the toilet, and you've literally caused Route 5 to be infested.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Kids, if you want to get rid of your fish, do not flush the fish. You'll become the JinxeeKatt.
No, this isn't how I wanted this to go at all.
It's okay, because now you're a life lesson. That's what we're looking for here on the show, are life lessons. So congratulations, you've made it to the wall of life lessons that I need to make here. Yes. So what is it like to play on like a team with your friends and streamers?
It's really fun. I have a really, really fun team, and we give each other a lot of flack. But at the end of the day, we love each other. Now, it's not to say, like we'll fight about stuff. They're nice. We're like, after a particularly horrible defeat, we're just like, "Good night." Like, bing, leave the call, like lay down mad, just in bed, like, like...
We've all been in that same position, too. I know that face.
Laying in bed, I'm like, "I wanted to pick Johanna, but they thought Garage was a great pack." Like, "And look what happened."
I know that conversation too. Oh my god, yes, it's like you've been with me.
But I think it's just more exciting, and it makes the game more fun. You play quick match, that's pretty fun, and you play rank, and then you're like, everyone's really trying, and you get to strategize, and that's pretty fun too. And then you play ranked or quick match with your friends, and you create all these combos, and that's really fun. And then you get to dunk on a random set of 5 individuals, and they can complain about you on Reddit for 5 stacking because you had the audacity to have some friends.
It's hard to come by nowadays, man. Hard to come by, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's hard to make friends as an adult.
Dude, yes, it is. It is. After college, it's a whole different game, and even with COVID, it's how do you figure that out? But that's a whole other topic.
Do you want to go wine tasting, or
do we have to call an Uber there? Do you guys want to meet up? Oh, dude, back in the day, like, 'cause I was working with students, and I was telling my students the story of, like, dude, back in the day when you would tell your friend, "Okay, let's go to the movies at 4 o'clock. Okay. And if your friend didn't show up at the mall at like 4:05 and you didn't have like 25 cents to call them, they were dead. They weren't coming. They were gone. Like, there was no texting. There was no nothing. Jason's just dead. He's not him." But nowadays, like, if you get ghosted, like...
Yeah, it's just...
See, these are struggles that boomers had to go through that y'all don't have to go through nowadays, so...
I remember my mom was telling me a story once, and what happened is she had hit a patch of black ice and her car had rolled into a ditch. And she's like, "I just remember waking up and my arm really hurt," and she had dislocated her shoulder. She's fine now, obviously.
Okay, good.
I'm here.
Thank you. Yeah, she's good. Start with that. Start with that next time. Mom's car. Actually,
so my mom's alive. She did not die when she was 16. And I know everyone was really concerned about that. she was like, yeah, and I just had to wait for somebody to come down the road. I was like,
Wait.
why didn't you just call somebody? She's like, I was like, oh shit, that's right. Like that you were like trying to wave down a pterodactyl to get help.
To fly you there.
Right, you dinosaur.
And she just looked at you like, you dumbass. What do you mean? I mean, yeah, I would have done that if they were invented.
I used to be on a team with this guy. His name is Brad or Kaimo Tripson. And I think he might be 30 now. I think he was 28 at the time. And we always teased him that he grew up in black and white because they hadn't invented colors back then.
Whoa, what? Wait a minute. I'm older than 30 and I always had color. What part of the country was he living in?
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, he wasn't from there. Back in the motherland, they didn't have color.
Okay, there you go.
Privileged here.
There you go. I was like, I lived on an island and I still had color.
Oh, see, you know what happened is we hadn't come and taken the color yet. So.
Oh, that's what it was.
I hope it's not offensive. I'm so sorry if it is.
It's still funny. I'm sorry.
Going back to your question before I went off on another tangent is it's really fun and it's such a different experience. And I really encourage people to go out there and get it. Even if you are me and you don't have adult friends, you don't have friends in the game, like NGS is a great place to start. They have a looking for group where you can post all your information. They have a combine every week where you can show your skills. And from them have blossomed some really awesome different leagues like CCS. They have an open house night where you just tell them what your rank is and stuff. And they put you in a team and you can play and you can practice and you can meet people. And it's really fun. So if you're kind of bored with the mundane, I think that's probably the reason that I've been playing it for 5 or 6 years at that point, is just the friends and the competition make it better. Because like I said, it's super great to play quick match by yourself and then ranked by yourself and then ranked with your friends. But like ranked versus another team that you know is 5-stacking and they have all the same tools you have and you still beat them, like that's really exciting and it's fun. And when you lose, you're like, well, damn, we'll have to look back and reevaluate ourselves. And especially with NGS, they do a great job of placement most of the time. So you're not just like Smurfs, am I right? Like we would have won if their Greymane wasn't smurfing, but these people they're golds and platinums and diamonds and bronzes just like you.
How did you find NGS? Like randomly? Just you're looking through the Reddits or someone invited you to NGS? Like how did you find that community?
So actually with Nexus Raiders, we had some friends who started doing it, and then there was kind of a catastrophe in that, and people had to pick sides, and there was a little bit of blowout and whatnot. It kind of petered out, which I still feel kind of bad about, but everybody made their choices, and most of us are still pretty good friends, but so a lot of us were looking for something else to do, and one of them was like, hey, what about this? So our friends invited us. Then through there, I found my current team just by getting into casting and wanting to make my stream better and better, and one of the really awesome people on NGS, name is Philandrith. He wrote a whole program to make casting easier, and then Crow, the guy who did my logo, made like layouts and stuff for it. It was really beautiful and it was super cool, but it can be a little tricky to get started with. So I was like, does anybody know how to use this? And then my offlane for the team Linehouse was like, oh, I can help you. I enjoyed hanging out with him and setting it up so much. That's how we got our team. So not really the question you asked. The TLDRs, one of my friends invited us to NGS, and from there we've just been kind of living in it.
So how long have you been in there playing?
Oh gosh, since before the cancellation of HGC, so I think 2016, 2017, I think.
Oh damn, so you've been there a while. So both casting and playing, or just mostly playing? Well,
I did playing for the most part, but over the last 3 seasons I've been doing casting, so I'd say probably like 50-50. I started playing first.
Okay, so I have some friends that are trying to get into casting, and I'm glad that I'm hosting a caster today. So what is like some of the things that are most challenging, like being a caster, getting into casting?
I think the hardest thing is just overcoming your fear of doing it and knowing that you're broadcasting to a live audience. And everybody always has this kind of stigma when they start, well, I'm not good enough to do this. And the big thing is, even once you start getting can cast. So we have a lot of people who they'll cast divisions like C, D, and E, which are probably like our plat to bronze divisions. But they're like a Storm League game will be up, and they're like, can anyone cast this? And they're like, well, I'm not really qualified. I think a lot of people undervalue themselves because the big thing with casting, the number one thing to remember is just to say what's happening. What are you seeing? And try and make it exciting is the general basis. It's just talk about what you're seeing because you can learn the other stuff. You should learn the heroes. You should learn the talent names and whatnot. If nothing else, the heroes and their heroic abilities. Those are the number one things you should familiarize yourself with. And then from there, you can learn like, oh, there's the Emerald Dreams, the level 1 Malfurion talent. A lot of people don't know that. Or I can go down and be like, so we can see from what's happening here, X character is most likely going to pick this talent because they've been struggling with Y and whatnot. That stuff you can build on and you can learn. The biggest thing is just to go out there and do it. And then if you're really worried about it, sit down with somebody who's been doing it for a while and ask them, what pointers can you give? Or would you watch one of my casts and give me feedback, I think. The last thing is just what are you looking to get out of casting? Because like Tetcher and myself, we do this for a living. So ours is more professional and we want it to be an HGC quality cast every single time that we go out and we cast. But like my friend Linehouse, who just likes to cast his friends and talk crap about his friends that are playing, they're just there to have a good time and have fun and talk about the game. So they'll offer some analytics and they'll talk about it and then maybe roast the players. Like that's an absolutely acceptable form of cast too. Not everybody is going to like either way that you do it, but that's totally fine. So just get out there and do it, and then just think about like why you want to do it, how you want to do it.
Those are some gems. Now, this is a personal question for myself. How do you recover from saying something stupid or something that you think is stupid or other people think are?
Like in a cast or in life?
You know what? Both. This is for me. Like,
you say something that you think is foolish, just keep going. Because most of the time, people are they're either gonna flame you in chat, and you can laugh about yourself. People will agree and be like, I agree with that. That was a good point. You're like, no. The amount of times I think that the biggest thing is like I'll see a skin and I'll be like, yeah, he's looking to get Greymane there, and I look and it's like an Anduin and not a Greymane. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking dumb. Like Greymane's not even in this game. And then I always recover with a joke. I'm like, whoops, that was Anduin. You know, that's the problem with the Alliance is they all look the same. Dirty Alliance scum for the Horde. So something like that is a great way to get past it. Somebody else says something foolish. You can think that they're dumb. You can be like, oh my god, you're so stupid. Don't ever say that.
Don't ever say that.
No, don't, be kind to your co-caster. They're taking time out of their day to help you and just talk about a game that you love. And at the end of the day, most of us aren't being paid for this. I'm not going to turn to my co-caster here, Dilf Hunter 69, and be like, listen, fool, you need to learn what the fuck is going on. Okay.
First of all, Dilf, let's talk about that. Second of all, why are you hunting them? Third of all, listen to this cast. So basically your advice is, if you make a mistake, just roll with it, have fun, make a joke. Basically, that advice was a living meme of that. You see that guy on the treadmill that trips and then does his push-ups? That's that right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your co-caster has something, it all depends on your relationship. Like, Tetra's my boyfriend, and I call him all the time. I'm like, what's up, stinky fart face? Like, what's going on? So if he says something stupid, we can tease about it, huh? He's like, oh, they can't disengage from this. So, or they're going to look for the engage. They have the advantage. This is a really genius play for them. Like, nobody is getting out of here alive. And then the team that had all the advantages ends up getting bonked. And I was like, yeah, no one is getting out of here alive. Or whatever. And if you don't have that kind of relationship, all you can do is just try and play off of it and just, oh, that was a really good engage by them. Unfortunately, it just ends up being that despite, their talent advantage or whatever, the AoE or the point control of X team is just a lot better. So something they'll have to consider next time they want to take an engage like that. Just try and play it. Make it sound like they're still smart, even if they've said something foolish. And then a lot of times with casting, there's this one cast I can think about. It just whenever someone's like, what's the worst cast you've ever had? I go back to it. I was having connection issues. I was casting with a guy. He was lovely, but I kept going out during the cast and you have to solo cast. So we brought in a third person who, if I went out, he would pick up. up. He wasn't going to say anything unless I dropped. Well, to him, that meant just start speaking, right? Because those two things are the same. I did not like this guy. I didn't think he was good. I didn't think he was a good caster. I didn't think he knew his stuff. We were discussing. I said, I can't remember if I said they should ban Greymane or they shouldn't, because, and whatever reason that I gave that I thought was, a really insightful answer. And I think they were talking about picking it. And I was like, I don't know about that. I can't see why the team would pick up Greymane here because they already have X, Y, and Z. So when they banned it, I said, yeah, that's really interesting to ban because it doesn't make sense for the draft. And he goes, and I remember, and this is horrible, he had this awful nasally voice, and he's like, they banned Greymane because they don't want them to have him. And I was like,
yes, that is true. That is very true.
I was like, that's a fair point. Yeah. And now nobody can pick him up. We continued on, but in my head, I was like, of course, fuckface. Like, why else would they ban him? I'm not a fool. Like, don't you think I know how bans work?
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
I'm sorry to swear, but just like, no shit.
Sorry, wait, hold on. I have to go Google ban. What does ban mean again? Just make sure. Oh yeah, that's right. They can't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want them to have
so that you were able to coach me on why I thought they wanted to pick him and that's why they banned it. Like,
oh, it makes sense now. Oh.
I'm so glad you were here to tell me that.
Because they didn't. Just put myself on mute real fast. The fuck?
Right?
But hey, great regulation. Way to connect mind and mouth and not be like, that's something that doesn't go here. That just stays here in this land. Very good.
Just, just let it go. Just I'm sitting there, I'm like, conceal, don't feel, don't let them see.
And that was live with your face and everything?
No, it was during the draft, so luckily
okay.
no one could see my face. I'm sitting there, I'm like...
Your voice is sounding very slappable from the other side. Just letting you know, because Greymane is not playable now.
Yeah.
So how has casting helped you as a player? Has it made you see the game differently at all?
I'm very grateful when I'm not going against the disgusting comps that I play or that I perpetuate when I'm talking about it. It really has helped me just because when you can see the whole map, and especially casting higher level games, I get kind of an idea of what the meta is, what the talents are, what the enemy should be doing. Like casting Storm League, they're playing for money. These are CCL players. That's kind of like the pinnacle of play right now. So seeing them and understanding, I see things, I'm like, oh, I would have gone for that objective, even though we were down a person. But seeing that they instead, what we see on the map is them taking all the camps and then defending while their offlane pushes. I'm like, oh, that's also viable. That's something to consider. And when we don't see them on the map, you can look and be like, okay, well, they're definitely not mid, is what I would have used to thought. And now I know, I'm like, whoa, maybe they're in the bush and stuff, which seems like no duh when you kind of say it, but really seeing it when two people are playing, it helps you to internalize when you're talking about it. We'll be in a similar situation in a game. I remember from my cast discussing about how they wanted to push this because the enemy team had to deal with the bottom and they could see people there, but they had two people who were enough to kill the push or whatever. So I'm like, all right, guys, let's push this, check all the bushes, and then recheck all the bushes because we don't know when they're gonna come and kill us.
With this, you haven't said it, so I'm gonna say it for you. With this big brain of knowledge of yours that you've accumulated over playing, casting, streaming, all of it, what is it like for you to get into a theoretical conversation with someone that thinks they know more than you, but you're missing a fundamental piece that you just don't see because you're dumb, but you just don't know it because you think I'm dumb, but I'm not dumb?
I have fights with my teammates, my boyfriend especially, all the time about these kinds of things because a lot of folks don't know that I used to do analytic work for a lot of teams, a lot of European teams especially, because the US dollar is worth less than a pound. So we'd go through and we talk about it. So I don't think I'm the greatest player, but I have a lot of knowledge. It can be really hard because a lot of us also have another knowledge. Our player Snag, our tank player, he's a master player. He went out for CCL for a little bit in season 1. He's very smart and he knows what he's doing. And so to get into these conversations where just recently we had a game where I had died and the enemy team was dying. Our off lane was pushing them back and was fighting them while the rest of the three tried to kill this other guy. What ended up was we all ended up wiping. We all died. And I was like, off laner, you need to be killing this guy in the back with the rest of the team, because if you were there, then he would have died. And Snag was like, no, he needed to be pushing off the rest of them so we could kill him. And I was like, I don't know about that. So we're going back and forth. And sometimes we have to just agree that our views on the game is different. Again, this is going to sound super narcissistic. When it's somebody who I know has kind of the same background as me or has similar knowledge, then sometimes we're like, all right, you have your opinion, I have mine. That's the way that it played out, and it's unfortunate. When some hot shot nobody comes in and they're like, oh, well, you should have done this. Or in the Twitch chat when I'm watching my team play, because we have a 6-man roster, so I don't always play, but I'm there to cheer on them. And they're like, with this draft, they don't have enough damage to kill people. And I'm like, I made this draft, first of all, and I guarantee you they have enough damage to kill people. So why don't you check your lips? Then they end up winning the game, and I'm just like, stupid bitch. Like, no, but I will say it's come back to bite me a little bit. I can be kind of a know-it-all sometimes, and I feel like sometimes that does lessen my viewpoints, to where Catcher all the time, he's like, oh, we should try X and we'll try it. I'm like, yeah, that was stupid. That shit doesn't work. We shouldn't have done that. Like, down the road we'll try it, and it worked. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, I've been saying we should do this for months. And I'm like, well, technically that's true, but I had to think of it myself.
And also, if this was one time in the grand scheme of things of it working, it may not work every time. You're just lucky it worked this one time.
Exactly. No, and I'm like, that shouldn't have worked. There are a lot of times where we're doing stupid stuff, and I'm like, a better team would have beaten us. When you say that, it's kind of like, no, duh. But there are sometimes where we play games, and we know that we're the just technically superior players. And if this was somebody who was our skill level, we would have got bonked.
But we did it and it worked.
We didn't today, but one of these days. I've really been trying to work on that and hear everybody out and like try things and then construct how they could be better instead of why they didn't work. I'm so bad about it.
Well, we'll reframe for you. It's not that you're a know-it-all. It's that you're confident in what you think. There you go. It's not that you're a know-it-all. You're just confident, right? Because I've seen this before. I have a basis of this idea. I'm confident in what I'm saying, which is good, which is great.
Yeah, we go into a draft and they're like, this isn't going to work. And I'm like, well, it worked to help bring Fnatic to the Western Class semifinals in 2017, but that's none of my business. Like, who helped with that? Was it me? Was it me? It was me.
Was it? It was me. It was, just to be clear, it was me. So I want to make sure everyone knows. Oh, what was it like to work with European teams and do analytic work for them? That sounds really cool.
It was really fun. I learned a lot. They were nice. I already had kind of a relationship with some of them beforehand, like Quacknix. I was always in a stream and I really liked them. And Baby J, we would talk about like tanking and stuff. It was just really, really fun and exciting. And it was interesting to see the different ways that the different teams did stuff, because talking to Quacknix, he was there. We talk about the game. He was the most vocal. He was the shot caller, where Bree is just kind of, he was the tank player, would just do the thing. And then whenever he would have a big play coming in, he would just like start whooping and hollering and like making noise. And it was really interesting to see them. And then talking about drafts with, say, like Crowan from Heroes Hearth, that was just a little bit different. They were just focused on the game, how they could win and stuff. Everybody was saying their stuff. And it's not to say that they were more stoic than them. It was just how they ended up communicating better and whatnot. So it was interesting. And working with the European guys was really fun. I'm also a big fan of the accents, so I'm going to offend a lot of people trying to do a Quacknix accent where he's just like, I don't think we should fly to the... I'm French now, oh my gosh. the middle anymore. And I'm just like, yes. Like they're just making shot calls. I'm like living for it.
For some reason, why does your shot calling sound more fancy? Weird.
Right?
I don't understand how this is happening, but you're saying things and I'm getting slightly turned on, but yet fancy.
Yeah, I'm like, that was a great shot call. And he's like, we all died. And I'm like, yeah, but the way you said it, I was like...
It was hot, yeah. Right. Were you able to ever go visit the teams overseas and stuff?
Oh, no,
Oh,
I never.
dang.
We had to hang out like when they would come to BlizzCon. We'd always kind of introduce ourselves. I'm like, "Hey, I'm JinxeeKatt. I've been telling you why your clicks make you lose." Like, I never got to work with Team Liquid, but they showed up often at BlizzCon and stuff. And the best time ever I had. Another tangent from me. Sorry.
Oh, no, I love it. I'm down for these. Let's go, baby.
Liquid had lost to Jinxee at the time at the last Heroes finals. After Liquid had lost to Jinxee, they were chilling and we were waiting for, I think it was Dignitas versus Jinxee, and so they were walking around and one of our friends was like, "Oh hey, you want to go?" It was HoTS and I can't remember who else it was, and I'm so sorry for them. But they were like, "Oh, these guys want to go get beers," and there's just like half of Team Liquid, and we were like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I'll buy you a beer," and HoTS was like, "Why do they have these signs?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Every single bartender here has a sign, and it says 1 drink per customer per visit."
What?
And
Per
I
visit?
was like, you had to get back in line if you wanted to buy another drink. You couldn't get to like 2 drinks right then and there. And I was like, I guess they just don't want people to get like too crazy drunk at these kinds of things. He's like, "Yeah, Germany, that would never happen." He's like, "There's nothing like this in Germany." And he's like, was so off put and so perplexed about it. But that was always fun. Just this Europeans coming over and be like, "What do you mean we can't drink?"
Could you imagine though, BlizzCon was in like a German beer tent? Oh my god. That would have been crazy.
Oh man, that would
Between
have been
games, you
more horse
have to
than
chug a
was.
beer. Whew.
Yeah.
Dude. Blizzard, if you're listening, I know a way to get back to some good graces post-COVID.
Oh my god. Whenever game, you gotta chug a beer. Like,
woo, losers got chug too.
I thought Heroes was hemorrhaging money. What's that? Like,
Whoa,
who
yep.
doesn't love to drink a beer?
Yo, Bud Light, listen up, yo. You've done so many things. You've done content creation a long time. You've done analytic work for European teams. You've done casting for American teams. You play on your own team. How do you have time to do anything else, Jinxee?
Well, luckily for them, I have no life. I had a basic job, and then once I started getting paid, do analytic work, and I was dog sitting at the time through a company called Rover. I had a lot of free time because it's not like children or anything. I go and I'm like, the dog is alive, and you need to walk them and everything, but they don't need 24 hours of attention. I had a lot of free time to just go over stuff and talk with them, especially like when we're working with the European teams. 2 p.m. is 10 o'clock at night for us and them, so I was up in the middle of the night doing stuff. So just don't sleep.
Oh, okay. Hashtag degenerate lifestyle. Got you.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I really just tried my best to schedule stuff, especially with my streaming. I sat down, I was like, I'm going to stream, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Wednesday, Sunday. Like those were my days, and I wasn't gonna like I would play games for fun if I wanted, but that was my time with my family, that was my time with my boyfriend, and so just kind of compartmentalizing all of that really helped.
I think you're giving some really good advice or pieces of insight of those who want to be a streamer or do something maybe unorthodox. And I guess something I'm really wondering that I ask like most of my guests too is like, what is it like for you to follow this passion of yours? Because it seems like this is something that turned from something you're interested in, something that you were liked doing casually, that you got passionate about, then you decided, hey, I'm gonna go all in and do this. What was it like to be fearless in that?
It was very scary, but everybody always jokes. Everybody's a streamer now. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody is an influencer. But actually taking the step, first you got to get past the stigma. I think the biggest thing for me is I just couldn't live my life wondering what if. I wanted to do this for a while when I was working my job. I was so tired at the end of the night. I didn't have the energy to come home and stream and pretend to be personable when I'd been pretending to be personable all day. So after I lost my job. I was like, well, what have I got to lose? Is this the biggest thing? They always make the joke, when you hit rock bottom, you've got nowhere to go but up. And I can't say that that's all me. My friends, my family especially, have been really helpful in allowing me to do this because, I lost my job. And for the first couple months, like streaming, I had 10 viewers and that definitely wasn't paying the bill. So I ended up having to move back home and unfortunate. But I have a really close relationship with my family anyway, so it was no problem. And just that, I think the biggest thing came from my grandmother who was very sick. She was passing away, and she was like, there was a lot of stuff that I wish that I could have done that I didn't get to do. And my mom never really understood streaming and gaming and all this stuff. And because their way of thinking has always been video games is kind of what losers do. You're wasting your life playing video games. There's really nothing to come of that. I had to kind of show her like there is organizations and there are these people and they're making it. And I want to try that too. My Nana was just like, there's a lot that I haven't gotten to do. And there's a lot you haven't gotten to do, Brenda, which is my mom. She's like, just let her try. School's always there. You can always go back to college. You can always get a mundane job and you can still succeed. But I don't want her to feel like I did. Like, what if I became a teacher? Or what if she had followed her passion? So I took the blessing of my grandmother and I just did it.
Oh my gosh, literal chicken skin. That is such a powerful story. Shout out to Grandma, rest in peace. Thank you for those wise words of wisdom to just go for it. And at the end, not being wondering of what happens, what if I
right, yeah. And if I fail, at least it's a cool story to tell the kids, or it's something more that I can add on my resume. Like, yo, dog, I managed a whole community. Like, you need somebody who's personable and friendly, like to say, hey, welcome to Walmart. Like, who's personable and friendly. And like, ooh, it's so good to see you again. Have you done something with your hair? Because I think that's how I feel like with my community. I have places for selfies and stuff, and then a lot of like my followers who are really close. Like, I follow them back on social media so I can see like, hey Chrono, like how's your TikTok? I know you were making a bunch of crazy drinks with your brother. What did you think of your most recent one? Like that could be me to your valued customers. Okay? There is a little bit of just fuck it. What's the worst that could happen that goes in? And obviously, you know, not everyone's in that situation, but I'm really thankful that I am and I get to try it. And at the end of the day, so I graduated at 30 instead of 25, or maybe I don't finish college. Maybe I'm 40 years old, still trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And I think that's okay.
I think you've nailed it with, well, two things you said. First, fuck it, go for it. And then secondly, just going for it. And if you're okay with it, who's to say that that's wrong or incorrect? You're okay with your life and you're enjoying it, and this is what you want to do. I think so many people get hung up on the haters or the comments, circling full circle around how we started. The comments or other people telling them that what they're doing isn't correct or it isn't cool or isn't like whatever. But I love how you just embraced it all, said, this is what I'm really interested in. I'm going to go for it. And amazing.
Thanks.
So, dude, we've been vibing for almost like an hour and a half. I was looking at the time like, oh my gosh, it's like 11:15.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I was like, holy crap, we went everywhere. And yes, love all the tangents. No, you weren't sounding narcissistic or anything. Instead, you were sounding very confident about what you were saying. And that's what I really, really liked.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And thank you. I always get nervous like coming into an interview, especially when they're like everything is so stuffy and proper. So I really appreciate doing this with you. It's so fun. You're so easy to talk to. And I'd love to come back and do it again.
Yeah, for sure. We should definitely like play sometime, I think. I'm getting back into like starting my stream again, so we should definitely play some maybe warm up quick matches, and then I have to climb back up to wherever I was, but I'm like gold 5 right now because I was on a murky kick and I was like, I'm gonna play murky every single game and see how far I can climb. I climbed backwards very quickly, so it was not sexy.
Yeah, gold. Imagine what that's like.
Oh, yeah, I was...
God, I'm not there.
Well, Jinxee, I'm wondering, you've told your amazing story. I've just learned so much about you and from your experiences. I'm wondering, is there anyone that you want to shout out?
I mean, if I'm going through like the thank yous, you know, number one is my mom. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but at the end of the day, she's always loved me. And one more I always go off on. I was watching a comedy special actually, and they were talking about, you know, nobody's parents are perfect. They've always done stuff, and the best thing you can do is just hope you don't fuck them up too much on the way out. And I kind of disagree. I was like, I had a pretty perfect mom. Like, she didn't understand the stuff, and we would get into fights and everything, but she always had my back. And even if she didn't understand it, she at least feigned support. And that's the best thing you can do for your kids. So big shout outs to her and my sister, who always, you know, talked me back up after we got in those fights. And I'd be like in my room, like angry, crying, saying I hated her. I was gonna run away from home and go move in with my boyfriend. So my family has been really wonderful. In the community, I really have to give it. The people who've helped me out from day one, my friend Brad, Kaiman Tripson, he's always been really, really wonderful and friendly. community. My friend Chess Looter, some folks from my old team. And Tetra, of course, has been super helpful. My new team, they've always got my back, no matter what. Like even if I'm in the wrong, even if I'm saying something incorrect on a cast or whatever, if somebody comes and they come for me personally, they're always there to have my back. So I appreciate them so much. The folks at NGS who allowed me to do stuff, Crow, Professor Bobo, they were amazing. And then the folks that are there now, Born to Shine, who's always helped me. The women in the community who really support each other, and the people who have constantly made me feel like I have somebody to stand with, not stand against, because that's a big stigma with women in these kind of industries, that you have to be better than her because, you know, you're both competing for the same single position. And the people have really torn that down. It's like Jazzaline, Girls Gang Squad, they've done an amazing job of really just forming this unity among women in the community. Breakwood and all the bull crap she had to go through. And then all the bull crap she didn't want to go through. People trying to make her a martyr for stuff when she's just trying to play the game. That's somebody who's always helped me out, looking through, seeing if there's anyone else I forgot. If I did, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think those are the people who've really helped me or inspired me. And
any other projects you got coming up or anything you're doing for the future that you want to shout out to?
Oh gosh, I might start doing some more Pokemon content because it's fun. If I'm going to suffer through it, you guys should suffer through it too.
Question, are you selling any of these Pokemon that you're breeding on the Pokemon market here? Any sales, any deals you're doing, any trades for money?
You know, I thought about it, but I feel like that's also a really quick way to get banned. So I was just like, eh. I mean, that being said, like if anyone wants a shiny Passimian, like
holla at your girl, yeah.
just DM me on Twitter, or not Twitter, or Twitter or Discord. The code word is the Hawk strikes at 9, and I'll know. Get you a shiny Passimian. I know everybody wants that. That's like the Pokemon right now. It's really not. It's nothing. So maybe some more Pokemon. I'd like it if people watched my memes. Like, it's just me and my boyfriend being stupid for 20 minutes, but I think they're fun.
It was funny. I recommend it. If people haven't watched the memes, go watch it. They're very funny.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Tetra's going to come down here to America when stuff opens back up. So we'll be doing some stuff then. One of these days, I'm going to be not scared to make a TikTok. So maybe eventually you can follow me on that.
I feel like you've done everything, and all the fear and stuff you have to get over that part is broken. TikTok should be like the least of your worries, man. Like,
you think?
Yeah.
I have like a couple ideas for what I want to do, and I'm like, what if people find this stupid? I've always wanted to do one. I know we're trying to wrap it up and I keep going up, but like I have an idea of like patch notes for life that I think would be really helpful. Like, for one, I'd like it if developers could at least acknowledge us. There have been several wars about who developed this, and while the paywalls make me think that it could be something, just the fact that it's totally fucked up leads me to believe that maybe Bethesda's behind it. That would be cool. I'd like if the refer a friend part of life could be opt-in, despite the fact that you may not have the resources to bring someone into this world. You can just do it. Like, I dislike that. That's a TikTok I've had in mind for a while, just doing shit like that.
Then all you need is a background, a car, and just you ranting for a hot minute. That's all you need. Post that shit. That's it. That's all you need. Go for it.
I'll maybe do that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know why.
Hell yeah.
That's the one scary thing. I'm like, the 13-year-olds are going to think I'm dumb.
I feel you. At the same time, you've done all the hard stuff.
I know.
It's like you've dunked the basketball and you're like, I don't know how to dribble. It's like you've done the hardest thing. I don't know. You just drop it. It comes back in your hand and you keep doing that. That's what you're doing.
Oh, goodness.
All right. So where can people find you on like Twitter, Discord, all of those? Shout it out. Promote yourself, girl.
So you can find me at twitch.tv/JinxeeKatt. That's JinxeeKatt. No I's, no Y's, no C's, double T's, double E's. That's me.
That's right. Get it right.
Right, it's right here. Like, you can find me on Twitch there, where I stream a lot of stuff. We do a lot of casting, so if you want to see my casting, check that out. Twitter should be my business Twitter, but it's really my personal one. So if you want to see, like, I'm streaming at 9 tonight, come check it out. Or you want to see, like, I'm just saying, I think women's clothing could be a little bit less see-through. Like, you can check out all of those at JinxeeKatt. Everything is JinxeeKatt. You want that Passimian in on Discord. It's JinxeeKatt. Any place there's a JinxeeKatt, that's probably where you can find me.
Sorry, the image that I thought of was like the little bikini armor versus like the cloth armor. Like this one obviously has more stats than this one.
Right.
Obviously. Well, JinxeeKatt, thank you so much for spending so much time telling your story, making me laugh so hard. And thank you for all of you, Twitch chat. Thanks for the follows and subscriptions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning into QueueUP, and find JinxeeKatt everywhere she is. All right, friends. As always, my name is Dr. Ryan Charles, PsychSensei. Take it away, JinxeeKatt.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, or it's morning. Have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are, and we will see you later.
All right, guys. Right. Bye. Coffee is not as good as the episode, huh? And if you would like more of these QueueUps, boom, right there. And if you want some other stuff that I'm doing, boom, right there. But remember, friends, that brainy blue buff right here, my website, PsychSensei.com. Also, please remember, like, comment, subscribe. I would really love to have more of these conversations with people, but who would you like to see? I'm always down to talk. Comment below.